If you've gotten a ticket in a small town in Louisiana, you've likely dealt with a type of court that doesn't even exist in 48 other states.
Mayor's courts are unique because even without a law degree, a mayor is allowed to preside over court.
But a legal expert questions whether the mayor can actually be an impartial judge if the town profits when people pay their fines. Here's our new investigation in partnership with ProPublica, Mayor, Judge, and Jury.
Audio inside a tense staff meeting.
So we're going by the end of this morning, there's going to be some layoff.
Led by a Louisiana mayor who refuses to answer our questions in an interview.
Mr. Mayor, how are you? Lee Zurich. We talked on the phone. How you doing?
This mayor is also a judge without a law degree. He has little, if any, training to run a courtroom.
There's no accountability, Lee.
And it happens because the state of Louisiana allows it. Only Louisiana and Ohio have this unique and little-known legal system.
You frustrated right now?
Am I? Am I mad? Yeah, I'm mad.
We met Teresa Parker in Fenton, Louisiana, a small village north of Lake Charles, about 3 hours away from her Slidell home.
Do you think they're taking advantage of people?
I felt like they did. I felt like he did.
Here's video from earlier this year. Fenton police pulled Parker over on her way back from a nearby casino. To contest the ticket, she drove all the way back to Fenton and showed up to what's known as Mayor's Court.
So the court's closed tonight, they told you?
Yeah, they told me. I drove all the way down here for nothing.
Fenton holds Mayor's Court once a month, but back in August when Parker showed up, court had been canceled. The fines and fees that run through Mayor's Court essentially run the town. In the last year reviewed by auditors, more than 90% of the village of Fenton's revenue, $1.3 million, was collected from fines and fees, the vast majority from traffic tickets.
90+% of their town budget, village budget, is from tickets from people like you.
So of course they're gonna give people tickets.
Because what?
They get revenue from it. And it's not fair.
And if you're someone like Teresa Parker who thinks she was wrongfully ticketed, you need to convince this person you're innocent. Eddie Alford, the mayor of Fenton, who is also the courtroom judge.
Mr. Mayor, you told us you would do an interview with us, though, Mr. Mayor.
Talk to the attorney.
You told me on the phone that you would do an interview with me, sir.
Right here, talk to the attorney.
He told us on the phone that he would do an interview with us.
If he doesn't want to do an interview, he doesn't want to do an interview.
Alfred is the elected mayor of Fenton, a small village of just 226 residents. Instead of having a traffic or municipal court, the law allows Fenton to have Mayor's Court, where the mayor acts as judge, jury, and even appoints his own prosecutor.
I mean, you have the mayor as the decision maker, essentially the judge. And the results of those decisions, which are minor municipal offenses only, but they're criminal in nature, and they result in the assessment of fines that go to the city, of which the mayor is the chief administrative officer. The conflict of interest is so patently obvious, not to mention the fact that the mayor doesn't have to be a lawyer.
A 1972 United States Supreme Court ruling says defendants' rights are violated if a mayor sits on the bench, is responsible for town finances, and if the court accounts for a substantial share of the town's revenue. So how much is substantial? A court in Ohio says 10%. The Louisiana Judicial College uses that same threshold. Again, Fenton makes more than 90% of its annual revenue from court.
This is a perfect example of why it's unfair. And exactly why they have it. This is a revenue generating mechanism. It's not about justice. It's not about efficiency. It's not about fairness. It's about making money.
Tulane Emeritus Law Professor Joel Friedman says this audio recording proves his point.
On black. Why I want traffic tickets. I talked with you yesterday.
At a September meeting with some town employees, the mayor complained police weren't writing enough tickets. That's despite records showing officers wrote an average of about 16 tickets per day for a town of just 226 people. And those tickets help bring the town lots of money. The $1.3 million from fines and fees helped make Fenton's budget about 5 times as high as towns with similar populations.
Our main income is traffic ticket, and they ain't getting written. So that's not no good thing right there.
One person in the meeting and another town employee identified the person speaking as the mayor. Both asked not to be identified because they fear retribution.
They could do whatever they want, and nobody's going to say anything about it. It's brash, it's arrogant, it's blatant.
This court and others like it in Louisiana has little oversight from the state, and legal experts say that allows for the potential of abuse. In Fenton, public records suggest a driver's attitude may play into whether or not they get a break when they come to court. We found tickets and court records that noted bad attitude, very bad attitude, do not help, and do not fix, and refused phone number, driver was very disrespectful, no help. While Mayor Alford presides over the court, which is allowed by law, he doesn't have a law degree, and we couldn't find evidence he graduated from college. On social media, the mayor says he attended McNeese State University. The school says he enrolled for one semester and never graduated. The mayor hasn't told us if he attended any other schools. Mayors are not required to hold a degree or license to preside over court, but must complete annual training by the Louisiana Judicial College. Town Attorney Mike Holmes told us Mayor Alford has completed all mandatory training required, but records obtained from the state show Alford only submitted those documents to the state in late October, after we started asking questions.
For a judge not to have legal training is beyond my comprehension. I can't imagine a system anywhere else that has such a thing.
The training video urges mayors like Alford to leave the bench if their revenue from court is above 10%.
So what you'll want to do is go back and look to see what percentage of your annual budget constitutes the fines that are derived from mayor's court. If it's over 10%, then I would highly recommend that the mayor ask the city council, the board of aldermen, to appoint a magistrate. Because if you're a mayor and you're handling mayor's court, you can be in a bind. And so if you're doing that, you can be held that you're violating people's constitutional rights.
After agreeing to an interview with us, Alfred never showed up, so we went back to Fenton in September.
I'm trying to ask a mayor, a public official, about an interview that he told us he would give us.
In regards
to mayor's court and Fenton and the police and everything.
To the video that's on the video system. We never said nothing about anything else.
You told me that you would do an on-camera interview the day of the last mayor's court, and then you weren't here, sir. That's a fact.
According to our review, Fenton has the highest percentage of revenue from fines and forfeitures of any town in the entire state, but it's far from the only place with a mayor's court. The state has about 250, many in small cities and towns, including some just outside of New Orleans, like Kenner, Gretna, Golden Meadow, and West Wego. Most of these courts in our area have magistrates with law degrees acting as the judge appointed by the mayor. But we found at least 10 towns across the state that have a mayor serving as judge while collecting more than 10% of their revenue in mayor's court, which would violate the Supreme Court's ruling. All happening in a court that doesn't operate like a typical district or city courtroom.
I mean, there's no rules of evidence. There's no rules of civil procedure. There's no real adversary relationship here. I'm surprised that there hasn't been a major constitutional challenge to this on fairness due process grounds, because clearly to me, for all the reasons I mentioned, it seems to me to be constitutionally infirm.
New Orleanian Santina Griffin was on her way back home from a funeral and says she was diverted off I-10 because of a bad wreck.
I mean, it's horrible. I feel like it's highway robbery.
Fenton police pulled her over. Griffin asked for help with her $350 ticket.
Can you afford that?
No, I can't. I'm a full-time student and a single mother.
But she didn't get help, and when she didn't pay the fine, Fenton asked the state to suspend her driver's license. Now Griffin can't legally drive her vehicle.
I need to be able to drive. I have kids that are in dance school, that are going to football. I go to school as well. So I'm on the road all day, every day. And then the fact that I have to have this extra added stress of, oh, I hope I don't make a wrong turn, and the police gets behind me, and then I'm like, oh, I hope they don't stop me.
Griffin is unable to make a 3-hour drive back to Fenton to face a mayor and judge who refuses to answer questions about how the court he oversees operates.
We just want to ask questions about your town. More than 90% of your revenue comes from tickets. We just want to talk to you about that. After Mayor Alford canceled our interview and refused to talk to us, we sent Fenton several lengthy letters laying out our findings. Town Attorney Mike Holmes told us in an email that Fenton, quote, has long had an active traffic enforcement policy, pointing out the town doesn't bring in much money from sales or property tax. He said bad attitude notes on tickets and in city records have nothing to do with how cases are decided. Writing a defendant is not punished for rude behavior during a traffic stop, but rather for objective, provable violations of law. He said Alford presides over court in a, quote, neutral, impartial manner consistent with state law. However, following our questions, Alford told us the town planned to hire a magistrate at a Board of Aldermen meeting last night. A lawyer who said he would serve as magistrate showed up, but ultimately aldermen and the mayor decided to go against the Supreme Court case and Judicial College guidance and keep Mayor Alford in charge of court. Mayor Alford told us he didn't want to spend the money and he feels like the court is fair. Our investigation was done in partnership with ProPublica. You can read more on fox8live.com and propublica.org beginning tomorrow morning.